Now we'll head back to the Northeast, where Governor Andrew Cuomo outlines a cluster action initiative to address the threat from the New York hotspot zones. In Uniondale, Joanne Andres reports.
Hi, Philip. In today's briefing, Governor Cuomo said New York is doing well but has a cluster problem. The statewide positivity rate excluding hotspots, is currently at 1.2%. The 20 hotspot zip codes yielded a 5.5 positivity rate. Governor Cuomo said mass gatherings cause infections, which cause a cluster. A cluster causes community spread. That is the natural evolution of things unless we intervene and stop the cycle. We're seeing clusters now in several areas in the state, and we have to stop the spread before we go backwards on the progress we've made. Cuomo introduced the Cluster Action Initiative, a clear plan to respond to any cluster that threatens the state's progress. The first step is to take dramatic action within the cluster. The second step is to take action in areas surrounding the cluster, and the third step is to take precautionary action in the outlying communities. Through mapping software, areas with a high concentration of cases can be clearly seen. Clusters are relatively small areas measuring 1 mile in diameter. Cuomo released maps of areas with high positivity, including southern Brooklyn, Queens, Rockland and Orange counties, and Binghamton. Each area in the cluster will be met with the appropriate restrictions, categorized either red, orange, or yellow based on the proximity to the cluster. In red zones, these impacted areas require the most intense action. Houses of worship will be at 25% capacity with a maximum of 10 people. Mass gatherings are prohibited. Only essential businesses will be allowed to remain open, and dining is takeout only. Schools will be closed and will be conducted remotely. In orange warning zones, houses of worship will be at 33% capacity with a maximum of 25 people. Mass gatherings will be capped at 10 people, and schools will also be closed with remote learning. Further out in the yellow or precautionary zones, houses of worship will be allowed at 50% capacity. Mass gatherings are permitted for a maximum of 25 people, and businesses will be allowed to remain open. Schools in yellow zones are permitted to remain open, but will require mandatory testing weekly of students and staff for in-person settings. Testing will go into effect by next Friday, as Cuomo is very concerned about exposure in schools. He pointed out that the virus is not coming from non-essential businesses or schools. It may be spread by those means, but this is about mass gatherings, primarily houses of worship, colleges, and some other outdoor venues. All other rules will go into effect as soon as tomorrow, but no later than Friday. Rules will be in effect for a minimum of 14 days. Local governments must enforce the law. Today's update on the numbers: of the 96,000 tested reported yesterday, 1,393 were positive. Total hospitalizations are at 705, and sadly, there were 9 COVID fatalities yesterday. In Uniondale, New York, Joanne Andres, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Joanne. And so you're there in New York. What do you think about this cluster action initiative?
I mean, this time around, I'm really glad that we know enough about COVID-19 to take the necessary precautions. I won't be surprised if we do end up dealing with a second wave, but I think the best thing to do is stay informed and have a stronger sense of self-awareness in terms of social distancing and any risk of exposure. You know that New York has been a hotspot for a while during this whole pandemic, and I really do think and believe that New York takes pride in our strength. And if we, join together in numbers and doing the necessary things, I believe that we can get over it.
Absolutely, and I'm just curious, for you and your friends there and in your particular community, do they share that same sentiment? Are they ready for this? And I just ask because I know down here in Atlanta, there's a lot of fatigue, if you will, with the pandemic. I went out this weekend to an orchard, and it was just packed with people and not many people wearing masks. So, what's it like up there, especially now with having to put in these additional measures?
Oh, definitely. I feel the same way with you. I went apple picking the other week, actually, as well, and I was stunned. It was around the border of New York and New Jersey. So there was a lot of people there, and it's pretty wild to think that a lot of people are out, but we get really excited with the season changing, and this is the exact same thing that's going to happen. But as long as we are aware of what we're doing and we're taking the necessary precautions of just being respectful of each other's spaces, I believe that we are in the same mindset of things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that report. You stay safe, and I'm sure we'll catch up here in a little bit before the end of the broadcast.
Thank you, Philip. You too.